117b, right before the wide lines towards the bottom, Taner Rabbanan. Begins like this, Taner Rabbanan. The Rabbi started in the Brisa, Shachach pas betaner. Someone forgot his bread in the oven, the Kiddush of Hayayim, and it becomes Shabbos. And we said before that there were certain things that you're allowed to do if a fire broke out. Here it doesn't say a fire broke out. Here we just say that his bread is going to get burnt. So Matzilin Masan Shalosh Sudas. What's going on in his oven is like a fire broke out, and he's allowed to save from his oven three meals. He's allowed to save 3 meals for Shabbos, just like you would be allowed to do if there would be Chas v'Shalom a fire. And he's allowed to tell others that they can also go into the oven and take out. When he takes out the bread from the oven, you shouldn't use, they had a type of tool that looked like a pizza stick, you know what it's called, the thing they take the pizzas out of the oven. A professional tool to take the bread out of the oven. They shouldn't use that professional tool. They should use a knife to stab it, or maybe to get it underneath and take it out. Where it says, Eily, what's the problem? No, there's an issue. It's a rabbinic issue. But he says, there's a brisa. It's taught in the yeshiva of Rabbi Shmuel. You should not do work on Shabbos. Rabbi Shmuel taught. They taught it over there. It's not really a biblical prohibition to blow the shofar on Shabbos. And that's why in certain places the shofar was blown, other places not. But that had to do with the gezerah of carrying. But the actual blowing of the shofar on Shabbos wasn't an issue. Why? It's making the sound and all of that. He says, well, that's a chachma, that's not a malacha. That's a skill, it's not a work. It's a talent. So, and he said the two things that go into that category are blowing the shofar and taking bread out of the oven. So why are we making a prohibition here that when you take the bread out of the oven and you're saving it, you're not allowed to use this type of spatula? I don't know. So he says, machine. Well, we try to make a shinoi as much as possible. Try to do something a little bit different so that you should remember that it's Shabbos. Okay. We're entering into a famous Agadata Gemara. This goes on for 2 pages or more. Yeah, it's 2 pages. Very famous sayings come from this Kuf Ches, you'll see. Rav Chisda says, Leilim Yashkan Adam Leitzah Shabbos. Person should always start preparing for Shabbos Friday morning early. So Shabbos sounds like to spend money for Shabbos. That's what it sounds like. It says when they prepared the man, it says it was on the 6th day, on Friday, and they prepared what they brought. That means they prepared it immediately. It means they collected it early in the morning, and right away they started to prepare. Okay. Amar Rab Abba, b'Shabbos chayav adam l'tzei al shtei kikros. Rab Abba says they have to use 2 loaves of bread on Shabbos. That's where the source is from. But l'tzei means to say the bracha on it, over the 2 loaves of bread. T'ksiv lechem mishnah, it says a double portion. Amar Rav Ashi, chasin leila Rav Kana d'nakatarti abatzachada. Rav Ashi says, however, I saw Rav Kana that he only broke open one of them. He held 2 in his hand, but he broke open one of them. Amar liktuksiv, it says he should collect lechem mishnah. It doesn't say that you have to eat the lechem mishnah. So that means you only have to open one of them. Reb Zera havi batza kula shirusa. Reb Zera would eat the whole, he would take a piece off the bread and eat all the rest. And usually you take a slice. He did the opposite. He sliced a piece and he took the whole loaf. Amalei Ravina Ravashi v'mechzik Rav Senusa. You look like a glutton. You take such a large piece. Amalek, even the Kol Yom Layavid, V'idnahu Dekavid, Lay Mechzik Rab Sinusa. Because you only do it on Shabbos, so you don't appear like a glutton. It's very clear that this is just for Shabbos. Vami V'Ravasi Kimiklu Rifta Deruva. Vami and Ravasi, when the Erev would come into their house, that means that every week someone else in their complex would cook an extra loaf of bread, bake an extra loaf of bread for the Erev. And so they would take turns. So when the Erev would be in their house, so Shari Yelavei, they would begin with that one. They would begin eating from the Erev. It's an interesting concept that if the one mitzvah began to be performed with the Erev, so you do another mitzvah. We have this with the Erev Tavshilin, that I guess they save it for Shalosh Shudas or something. They eat that loaf, or they eat the whatever it is. Sometimes it's a matzah. Okay, Kate said Nafla Dleika. It says that if the fire breaks out, so you can save for 3 meals. It depends when. If it breaks out at night, 3 meals. Rabbi Yosi says it's always 3 meals. Rabbanan. How many meals should a person eat on Shabbos? The Gemara says Shalish, you should have 3 meals. Reb Chidka says he should have 4 meals. Rabbi Yochanan says that both the Tanakam and Reb Chidka, they learned from the same pasuk. Pasuk says, "Vayem Moshe vayem kishabbos hayem laHashem hayem leisim tzu basada." Moshe says you should, when they found that the man didn't spoil on the next day, which was on Shabbos, Moshe told them that they could eat it today, because today is Shabbos for Hashem. Today you won't be able to collect; you won't find any in the field. So if you look at that pasuk, it says hayim 3 times. Echlu hayim ki Shabbos hayim laHashem, and hayim limtzu basada. So 3 hayims. Chidka savar hani plus hayim levar miyorta. Chidka says hayim means by day. You have to have 3 meals by day, plus you have a meal Friday night. That's 4. Rabbanan Savri Bahadi Dorta. Rabbanan say that it's no, hayim is including the night, so it's 3 meals in total. Tanan. We try to prove who's correct from our Mishnah. The Mishnah said if a fire broke out, you're allowed to save for 3 meals. Is that following the Rabbanan or Reb Chidka? The only way that you could follow Reb Chidka is if we say that if it fell Friday night, you save for 3 meals. It's because Friday night was already after the meal that the fire started. And you still have another 3 meals to save for. That's a possibility that maybe the Mishnah could fit with Reb Chidka. But if the Mishnah means that if there's a fire on Friday night, that you save for 3 meals, that fire was before the meal, then the Mishnah follows the Rabbanan. It doesn't tell us when Friday night. It says, Tanan, Nafl Dleika Bleili Shabbos, we're on top of Kuf Yud Ches, 118a. Matzilin Mazin Gimel Sudas, you save for 3 meals. My lav D'layachal, must be talking about that you didn't eat. And you only save 3 meals. It follows the Rabbanan. It's a kasha and Reb Chidka. According to Reb Chidka, you should save 4 meals. It says Lai Dachal. The commas over here are very important. Dachal. No, he ate already. You could fit this with Reb Chidka. You still save 3 meals, even though it's Friday night, late at night. And you save for 3 meals for the following day. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's easy. Shachris, it says in the morning, Matzilin Masin Shtei Sudas, you save for 2 meals. This sounds like a kasha and Reb Chidka. My lav D'layachal. Sounds like before he ate, there's only 2 meals in the morning. And there's only 2 meals by Shabbos day. Reb Chidka held that there were 3 meals. It says Lai Dachal. We're talking about Shachris after the meal. After the Kiddush Club. Shachris, yeah. They davened early. They davened by nights. B'mincha matzil mazon sedachas malav le'achal. B'mincha, you save for one meal. Sounds like he didn't eat yet, and there's only one meal left. The Gemara says lo da'achal. He ate already mincha time. Mincha is probably mincha gedela, the afternoon, and he still has another meal to eat. But midik tani sefer Rabbi Yisrael Milayla matzil mazon gimel sudas mechlal detanakam gimel sfirle. Gemara says no. We tried really, really hard to fit the Mishnah with Reb Chidka by saying that all of those times the fire broke out was always after the meal, and you still need another 3 meals or another 2 meals or another 1 meal. So the problem is when you take one step further in the Mishnah, it says, Rabbi Yossi says that any time of Shabbos, you always save 3 meals because Shabbos is fit for 3 meals. The Rabbanan only argue on when on Shabbos the fire broke out, but the Rabbanan also hold that Shabbos is 3 meals. Just depends when the fire breaks out. That means that both Rabbi and the Rabbanan are only arguing on one point. On the time that the fire broke out, can you still save 3 meals? But no one says 4 meals. It's a kasha on Reb Chidka. It says Shabbos is supposed to have 4 meals. Machvartem asnisin like Reb Chidka. Machvartem, it comes from the word chiver, it means white. It means it's clear, machvart, it's clear that the Mishnah doesn't go like Reb Chidka. Okay. Problem is, if someone has food for 2 meals, so you should not take from the public kitchen. If he has food for 14 meals, then you shouldn't take from the handouts that were given on Friday that would give out the money. What happened is the people that were very poor would take from the soup kitchen. That's called the tamchay. They didn't have food even for that day. The people that were ashamed to go to the soup kitchen, they would get on Friday, they would get an envelope of some sort of money or whatever. And those days it was a bag. And that would be enough for the week instead of going every day. But if you had food for a week, which was 14 meals, then you shouldn't take from the kupa. Now, what's going on over here? 14 meals is 2 meals a day. Shabbos, you're supposed to have either 3 or 4. So it should really be 15 or 16. Gemara says, Mani, who is the author of that Mishnah that says 14 meals for the week is the amount of meals you have? It doesn't fit with what we learned about Shabbos. Le Rabbanan v'le Reb Chidka, it doesn't fit with either of them. I Rabbanan Chamsrei have, and if it's the Rabbanan, it should be 15. Chamsrei is the compound of 5 and 10. Ir of Chidka, Shis Srei, over there you see it's divided. 16. Havin, it should be 16. Okay, so this doesn't fit with either of them. The Gemara says, Leilam Rabbanan. Really, it's following the Rabbanan. What we're saying is that one of the meals, afuke sounds like Motzei Shabbos. The meal that you're going to have Motzei Shabbos, which that would be your Sunday meal, you should eat it earlier on Shabbos. And that way you'll have an extra meal on Shabbos. You have a meal Friday night. We're counting days with night 1 and day 1. That's the 2 meals a day. 1 by night and 1 by day. Here what we're doing is we're not having a meal on Saturday night on Motzei Shabbos. You're having a meal on Friday night, and then a meal Shabbos morning, and then another meal Shabbos afternoon instead of Motzei Shabbos. That way you're just changing with the time then when you eat the meal, but it's still 14 meals. And then Motzei Shabbos you go to bed hungry or full from Shalosh Shabbos. So Leimer Rabbanan Hivalei Reb Chidka, say that it's the Rabbanan and not Reb Chidka. We seem to have proven that. That's the only way 14 can fit. Gemara says, Afilu Teimer Reb Chidka. No, you can say really it is Reb Chidka. How are you going to do this? You just stole a meal from Motzei Shabbos to get an extra meal. What are you going to do now? We say that the meal that you were supposed to have on Friday, don't eat it at all on Friday. Eat it on Friday night. Then the meal that you're supposed to have Friday night, you put it on Shabbos morning. The meal Shabbos day, you say Shabbos after Shachris, after Musaf or whatever. I don't know how they would do it. 3 meals on Shabbos day. This must be the Kiddush Club. It must be. So, the Gemara asks, challenges this. What are you trying to do to him? The whole Erev Shabbos, he has to fast? You're making this, he's a poor guy. He doesn't have food. You're giving him money and you're telling him that he has to fast on Friday. He has his meal Friday night. Allahumani Rabbi Kivi, the Gemara switches. The Gemara says it has nothing to do with how many meals on Shabbos, what we're doing here. We're following the opinion of Rabbi Akiva. The Omar Asay Shabbat Chachol Val Tetzarech Labriyas. That says that you have regular meals, weekday meals on Shabbos, rather than to get money from the community. So on Shabbos, a person doesn't have money, according to Rabbi Akiva. He has his regular weekday meal, which is, I don't know, matzah with sardines, whatever it is. That's that's a regular weekday. My Rosh Hashiva explained this in California. He said, Rabbi Shachar, we went to Gemara once, he said, Rabbi Kiva holds that the chiyuv of spending money on Shabbos is to spend your own money, not to spend someone else's money. You're supposed to spend money for Shabbos preparations, but you have no obligation to spend anyone else's. You're supposed to spend your own. So therefore, you don't take from other people to be able to fulfill this. Okay, so now the Gemara says, Vadatnan ein. The Maral's brother, his name was Reb Chaim, known as Reb Chaim Achia Maral. He wrote a sefer called Sefer HaChaim. In the Sefer HaChaim, he writes that Asay Shabbat Chachol Val Tetzarech Labriyos is not referring to Shabbos. On Shabbos, you have to make Shabbos always. It's referring to when it says, when families get together and they make a party, July 4th, whatever. So that's called Shabbos. And that you have to give up on if you don't have the funds. But Shabbos, Mama Shabbos, Saturday Shabbos, that Shabbos you always have to spend. I don't know how he's going to learn this Gemara, but because from this Gemara it's clear that that's not the pshat. But that's what he wants to say. It says that an ani that's traveling, poor person that's traveling. So how much should you give him? So you shouldn't give him less than a loaf of bread. Now the loaf of bread, how much should the loaf of bread cost? A loaf of bread that cost a pundian. A pundian is 16 cents. 16 prutas. And we're talking about at the time when Dalit Son cost a sela. When 4 sa cost a sela, which is 768 prutas. You're giving him 16 cents when 4 sa, so each sa is 144 eggs. How much flour? It's telling us the cost of flour and how much bread he should get. And that's really the amount of 2 meals. This loaf of bread that cost a pundian. It's 1/48 of a dinar. That's 1/48 of a sela. That's what it is. There's 12 pundian in a dinar, and then there's 4 dinar in a sela. Okay, so that's if he's traveling. I was told that people that collect money when they go to Baltimore, So the Rav, Rabbi Heinemann, he checks out the people and he puts on a chart. He says how much the community should give. And probably like based on this Gemara, it says, well, if he's staying, he should get this. If he's not, he decides like how much every person should give. People are told how much. I don't think the Mishalachim like that, but that's the way he does it. He takes control over it. Now, Lon, let's say they're staying overnight. Nice and light parnasas lina. Then you have to give them what they need for staying overnight. Gemara's going to explain in a minute what it is, pillows and blankets, whatever. A bed and a pillow. Vim Shabbos, if he's there for Shabbos, nice and mazon gimel sudas. He gets 3 meals. It's a problem. Lemer Rabbanan hivalei Reb Chidka. Must be this Mishnah. Is this a Mishnah? It's a Mishnah. Mishnah in Peah. It doesn't follow Reb Chidka that says he's supposed to have 4 meals on Shabbos. It says Liyolam Reb Chidka. It is following Reb Chidka. He came with a sandwich. He came with a lunchbox. And you tell him, eat your sandwich, and we're giving you another 3 meals. The Gemara says, 1 second. You give him 3 meals, and you send them off without food? The Gemara says, no, you give him food also for that. We weren't talking about that. We were just talking about what you give him all these years. Now the Gemara says, my parnasas lina, what is what we said before? If he stays overnight, you have to give him his sustenance for staying overnight. Amar papa purya u beisadya, that means a bed and a pillow. Okay. Regarding eating shalashudas, the custom in Chabad was not to eat shalashudas, rather to study chassidus during that time. And one of the sources was because one of the words over here, it says hayoim, and then it says again hayoim, but the third time it says hayoim loy. Today not. And then based on that there's one time a year when it's impossible to eat shalashudas, and you're able to fulfill it with studying Torah, which is Erev Pesach, that falls on Shabbos. You can't eat bread. It's Pesach afternoon, you can't eat bread. You can't eat matzah. It's Pesach afternoon, you can't eat matzah. So how do you fulfill shalashudas? So you fulfill it with fruits, and then there's one opinion that says you fill it with Torah. So in Chabad, they wouldn't wash on shalashudas. They would. Now there's a discussion if I'm saying it correctly. In Chabad, they wouldn't wash, or if in Chabad they weren't makbid to wash. That's a discussion. Depends who you ask. Depends who you ask. Some people in Crown Heights, the shuls in Crown Heights would wash. You know, they would have shalashudas there. Even the Chabad other shuls, they would wash. Okay. They wouldn't makri. If you didn't have bread, they wouldn't go to the neighbor and ask for bread. You know, they wouldn't like go out of the. But if you have bread sitting over there, they would wash and eat shalashudas. Taner Rabbanan. We'll start in a brisa. Karesh ochel b'em arvis. The plates that were used, they didn't have disposable back then. Plates that were used for the meal at night, madichin lechel b'em shachris, you're allowed to wash, so you should be able to use them in the morning. Shachris, madichin lechel b'em mitzarayim. In the morning, you can wash so you can eat in the afternoon. Mitzarayim, madichin lechel b'em b'mincha. In the afternoon, so you should use them for shalashudas. Sounds like we have 3 meals on Shabbos day, you know. Min mincha ve'elech shavena mediach. From mincha on, then you can't wash anymore. Why? Because you're preparing for Motzei Shabbos. You're not allowed to prepare on Shabbos for Motzei Shabbos. Aval kaisis v'kitonis tzleichas, but cups and pitchers and glasses. Mediach ve'elech kolayim kul v'shein kevel l'shtia. Drinking, you can always drink. So that doesn't mean that you're not going to have. if you wash a cup out, that means that you're washing it for Motzei Shabbos. No, they're going to take another drink in the afternoon.
This Rabbi Chidka, when did he say you have the fourth meal? When did you
Sounds like three meals Shabbos day. They would daven early, probably Shachris, they had one. They had one in the afternoon, they had one mincha time. It's like comparable to our breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That's what it sounds like. It seems to fit with this brisa. I don't know why we didn't bring this brisa for
that's on
as a
one
support.
Good, yeah.
I don't know. Okay. Amar Reb Shimon ben Pazi, Amar Reb Yeshua ben Levi Mishum Bar Kapara. Kol HaMakayim Shalosh Sudas b'Shabbos, anyone that fulfills the 3 meals on Shabbos, Nitzal Mishalosh Pranyas, is saved from three punishments. Mechavli Shal Mashiach, from the birth pangs of Mashiach. Medina Shel Gehenim, it's called birth pangs because before a woman gives birth, so there's the contractions that she have are much stronger. So the tightening before the birth is much harder. So that's like the suffering of before Mashiach comes. Medina Shel Gehenim, from the judgment of Gehenim. Mochemes Gog and Magog, the war of Gog and Magog. Magog is the country and Gog is the king. Yeah, when I looked it up in Yecheskel once, and I always thought there's going to be a war between Gog and Magog, and somehow we'll be in the middle. But it turns out that Gog and Magog, Gog is the king and Magog is the country, and it's a war against Israel or the rest of the world. So now we have to explain why eating these 3 meals. How do we get that these 3 meals protect from those 3 things? It says by us day. And it says about Mashiach, behold, I'm sending before you Eliyahu Navi, before the day of Hashem, before the great day comes. Okay, so that's referring to Mashiach, and it says Hayayim, and by us it says Hayayim. That means that this protects from that. Medina Shel Ganim Ksiv HaChayayim, Ksiv Hasam Yayim Evra Hayayim Mahu. Over here it says Yayim, and over there it says the day of anger will be that day. On the day that Gog comes, so it says day here, it says day there. It's a Gezeira Shava that tells us that this protects from that. Okay. Amar Rabbi Yochanan Mishum Rabbi Yosi. Rabbi Yochanan says, the name of Rabbi Yosi Kalamanik Shabbos. Anyone that enjoys the Shabbos, Neisli Nachla Bli Mitzarim, is given inheritance without any limits. In the Zmiris, one of the Zmiris, I think Lesanig Betanugim, Barburim Eslavadang, you know that song? So over there it says, Bli Mitzarim Nachla. Bli Mitzarim Nachla. That's one of the songs over there. So, so anyone that enjoys the Shabbos, that celebrates it, will be given this inheritance. Who's that talking about? Then you will have enjoyment of Hashem. You will ride over the heights of the earth. And I will feed you the inheritance of Yaakov. So the Gemara elaborates on this. It says, like Avram, it doesn't say you'll get the inheritance of Avram. By Avram it says, Hashem told him, go walk to the length and to the width of the land. Okay, you're going to have the limited inheritance of the land. That's it. And not like Yitzchak, where it says you're given all of these lands. It's limited to those lands. Ela ki Yaakov shekasab ba yufaratz yam avekenu etzafaynu b'negba. You'll get the inheritance of Yaakov, which by him it says you'll break forth to the west, and to the east, to the north, and to the south. That's an inheritance without any limits. Yeah, there's in the Zemiris they throw this in. I think in a few places. Nachla b'li mitzarim nachla or Yaakov Avinu. Reb Nachman bar Yitzchak Amar nitzel mishibud Goliath. He's protected from oppression of the exiles. Over here it says that you'll ride over the heights of the land. And you, on the important people, you will step, you will tread upon. It means you won't be subjugated to the nations. Anyone that enjoys the Shabbos will be given the desires of his heart, requests of his heart. Until him, it says you will enjoy Hashem, you'll be given the requests of your heart. When it says you'll enjoy Hashem, we don't know what this is referring to. So when it says you call Shabbos an enjoyment, this must be referring to Einik Shabbos. So enjoying Shabbos is enjoyment of Hashem, and it's given the requests of his heart. It says requests of his heart because it can't be his requests on Shabbos, because he can't make personal requests on Shabbos, but he's still allowed to think about it. So he's enjoying Shabbos. He's thinking, "Hey, how am I going to pay for that bill in the kosher store?" That's what he's thinking about. Hashem provides. Okay, what do you get? What should you enjoy Shabbos with? Rabbi Yehuda, breder of Shmuel bar Shelas, Mishmei the Rav Amar. Rabbi Yehuda, breder of Shmuel bar Shelas. In the name of Rav, he says, "B'tapshel shel tradin." You should get a dish of beets. Beets, the Gemara has very nice things to say about beets. It's healthy for this and that, and brings love, and it's all types of nice things it says about beets. Dagim gedolim, fish, big fish. I don't know what big was. Salmon, I don't know, tuna. Varashi shuman, and heads of garlic. That's the enjoyment. Rav Chia bar Ashi was also a student of Rav, and he said, "I feel davar muat l'kavod Shabbos aso." Even something small, but you prepared it for Shabbos. That's also considered enjoyment. Mahi, what are you referring to? Amar Rav Papa kasa daharsana. This was small fried fish, little, probably like sardines, fried sardines. That was that's enough. So Rabbi Levitansky, Alav Hashem, told me before he went on Shlichus, so he asked Rabbi Avram Korf what Shlichus is like. So Rabbi Korf told him that Baruch Hashem, Shabbos hasn't gone by that I wasn't able to afford sardines. So he was got very nervous. He didn't want to live like that. So, but then I heard that someone told the Rebbe that Rabbi Korf only has sardines on Shabbos. The Rebbe cried. It was 60 years ago, I guess, when they came here. Very poor. Amar Rab Chia bar Abba, Amar Rab Yechanan. Chia bar Abba says, "Nimr Rab Yechanan kol mishamer Shabbos kel chasei, afilu oved avodah zarah kedarena shmeichlin lei." Anyone that keeps Shabbos properly, even if he worshipped idols, he's forgiven. Shenemar Ashri Enish Yasazais, praised as the person that does this. Kol Hashem Shabbos, it says Mechalalai. What does it mean Mechalalai? They used to ask us in yeshiva as a trick. What does it mean Kol Hashem Shabbos Mechalalai? Anyone that keeps Shabbos is Mechal Shabbos. Then they would explain Kol Hashem Shabbos Mechalalai, from being profane. Anyone that keeps Shabbos from being profane. So Al Tikri Mechalalai Ela Machalai. Don't read it from being profane. Read it that he's forgiven, and he's forgiven even for Avodah Zarah. Keeping Shabbos. Amar and it's compared to the Avodah Zarah over here was referred to Dar Enosh because that's when Avodah Zarah started. Originally, everyone recognized Hashem. Then at a certain point, they started to say, well, we should also give respect to the constellations and all the ministers and things that work for Hashem. So they started to build temples for them, and then people forgot about Hashem. So that's the Dar Enosh. And even if they worship the idol like Dar Enosh, they're forgiven if they keep Shabbos. If only the Jewish people would have kept that first Shabbos, then no nation would have ever been able to rule over us. It was on the seventh day that some people went out to gather. Say that was Dasan and Aviram. Is that what it says? And it's right afterwards it says, and Amalek came to fight. Rabbi Yochanan, it says, Mishum ben Yochai. Name of Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai. If we would keep 2 Shabbos properly, miyad negalim, then we would be redeemed. Shnemar, Kayamar Hashem lasarisim asher yishmas rabseisai. Hashem says, that's back in that Haftarah that we say on Rosh Chodesh, to the eunuchs that guard my Shabbos. I will bring you into my holy mountain. It's referring to the redemption. If we would keep 2 Shabbosim, some Chassidish Sfarim say that means to keep 2 Shabbosim means that when you go Shabbos, you go to a higher level. Then during the week, if you don't drop down during the week, then the next Shabbos you would go to the next level. So you have to keep 2 Shabbosim, you go from one level to the next level. But the problem is that during the week we fall back down. Next Shabbos so we go back to the same place as the first Shabbos. That's what it says. I saw that in Reb Tzaddik. Rabbi Yosi says, we have a bunch of statements here of Rabbi Yosi. We'll get to know a lot about Rabbi Yosi from this small piece of Gemara. Yosi says, and my portion should be amongst those that eat 3 meals on Shabbos. Rabbi Yosi says, my portion should be from those people that recite Hallel every day, that complete Hallel every day. Eily, is that a good thing? Is that so? That's like slander to say if you say Hallel every day. It's not a good thing. Hallel is supposed to have special times. Just to say it every day is not it's not right. So kikamrin b'psuki de zimra. What he meant, he meant the Halalukas that we say in Psuki de Zimra. Rashi, for some reason, only says 2 of the Halalukas. It says Halalu as Hashem and Hashemayim and Halalu Kel B'Kadsha. I don't know why he doesn't have the other ones. Maybe Rashi didn't have the other Halalukas in his Psuki de Zimra. Must have said Ashrei, that's a Gemara Brachas. We say from Ashrei till the end of the Tehillim. But over here he says Psuki de Zimra. Rashi only says 2 of the Halalukas. Rabbi Yosi says, my portion should be with those that daven with the redness of the sun. That means when it's rising and when it's setting. It means once it daven early, Shachris early, and Mincha late. Right in this man. It's a mitzvah to daven at those times. I think we learned before that it's Shachris. And here we're learning that it's Mincha as well. Amar Reb Zera Mikra, where do you see this? It says, Yeruchim Shemesh v'lefnei Yereach Dardarim. They will fear you with the sun. It means with the rising of the sun and with the setting of the sun. That's when they'll daven. And in front of the moon for generations. Okay. But Yeruchim Shemesh is telling me that with the rising of the sun, and before the moon means before the moon comes out, while the sun still hasn't set, that's when they daven mincha. He says, my portion should be with those that die with stomach illness. Damarmar, because the master taught, Ruben shal tzadikim meisim b'chelim me'ayim. most of the tzaddikim die with a stomach illness. Now, the explanation here is that it's very painful. It's a lot of suffering. And when they die, also the body ends up being clean. So they want, at the end of their life, they should go through all that suffering to be able to be cleansed before they get judged in heaven. And the body is also clean. Rabbi he wants to die on the way of performing a mitzvah. It says he wants his portion to be with those that accept Shabbos in Tveria, and from those that the way the Shabbos goes out in Tzipori. Now the explanation here, a simple explanation, is that Tveria is lower down. It's like a valley. So they would accept Shabbos earlier because they couldn't see the sun when the actual setting of the sun was, because it would look like it was setting much earlier because of the mountains. So he says, I want to be accepting, like with those people that accept Shabbos early and keep Shabbos till late, because Tzipori was on top of a mountain. So they would see the sun in the sky much longer. It would still be light. So accepting Shabbos early and letting Shabbos out late. One of the commentaries said that in Tveria they would put on perfume, or perfume the house maybe, when Shabbos came in respect of Shabbos. And in Tzipori they would perfume the house on Motzei Shabbos, respect of Shabbos leaving. So he wanted to be part of both of those. Rabbi he wants to be the one that gather the people for the minyan, not for the people that tell them that it's time to go home. He wants to be part of the guys that open the shul in the morning, not the guys that lock it after the minyan. It's based on Medrash here, so they're learning as well. This is very interesting. He says he wants to be from the people that collect money, but not from the people that distribute. He says it's easier to collect than to distribute, because to distribute, you don't really know how much each person needs. Sometimes you'll give too much to one or too little to one. And what are they supposed to do with that? It's not enough for half of what they need. But to collect, you collect it. There's no judgment in that. You go around and you. But when you distribute, then there's judgment that's made. That's very difficult. He says, I want to be from someone that's suspected to have sinned, but really there was nothing there. Really, I'm innocent. I guess that would be a way to be forgiven from sins. Rav Papa says, it happened to me. They suspected me, and really I'm totally innocent. Rabbi says, I had 5 marital relations. And I planted 5 cedar trees in Israel. Who are those cedar trees? Well, Rabbi Shmuel bar Rabbi Yosi, this is Rabbi Yosi's sons. Rabbi Shmuel bar Rabbi Yosi, Rabbi Elazar bar Rabbi Yosi, some say it's Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Chalafta bar Rabbi Yosi. Rabbi Yosi's father's name was Chalafta, by the way. So this would be named after his grandfather. Rabbi Avtilas bar Rabbi Yosi and Rabbi Nachum bar Rabbi Yosi. 5 sons of Rabbi Yosi. The Gemara asks, Vayika Vardimas. What about Vardimas, the son of Rabbi Yosi? It's funny, they forgot like the one name that sounds like a Greek name or something. So what about him? It says, Haina Vardimas, Haina Menachem. No, Menachem is his nickname, or his other name was Vardimas. That's what he was called on his passport. In some countries, they only gave you a certain amount of name, a list of names you could choose from. I think in Austria or Germany, they had to choose a name. You couldn't just make up a name. You had to choose one of those names. Chaim wasn't on it, and whatever. So they had okay, so V'amaykar le Vardimas. Why is Menachem called Vardimas? Shepanav daimin levered. His face was as beautiful as a rose. L'meimra, we have a problem over here. Is this to say the Rabbi Yosi mitzvah leikiyim? The Rabbi Yosi didn't fulfill his obligation to his wife to satisfy her, to give her the times that are set for a person, how often he's supposed to be with his wife. It sounds like he was with his wife 5 times, and that was it. He had 5 children. That was the way it sounded. No, what it means is that we had a Gemara that says that if a person wants to have a male son, so he should delay his own pleasure and let his wife have the pleasure first. That way, then he'll merit to have a male child. Then it says, or another option was that if she has relations a second time, then the second relations will be after his wife's pleasure, and then the child that's born from that will be a male son. So Rabbi is saying is 5 times he performed relations in this manner so that he should have 5 male children. It's not telling us about the regular relations that he had at the time that he's supposed to. He never called my wife, and my ox. I called my wife my house, and I called my ox my field. It meant that the wife was the main part of the household. Everything in the house was under her, in her schus, or in her responsibility. And the same thing with the field. There's nothing you can do with the field without the ox. You can plant a few things, but to plow a field, it's all dependent on the ox, if you can plow it. Rabbi Yossi says, he never looked down to see his bris. He was very tzenua, he was very modest. Eily, is it really so that Rabbi Yossi was so careful? But there was a conversation where they said to Rabbi, "My time karalach Rabbeinu HaKadosh." Why do they call you Rabbeinu HaKadosh, the holy rabbi? Amalahu, he responded, because he never looked at his bris milah. If Rabbi Yossi did that, then why don't we call Rabbi Yossi HaKadosh, or something like that, or Rabbeinu HaKadosh for Rabbi Yossi? The Gemara answers, Rabbi really had another thing, that he never put his hand underneath his belt. It was an extra holiness. Rabbi Yossi says he was very modest. He always changed under his blanket, and the beams of his house never saw the seam of his clothing, because you take off your clothing, the seam gets exposed; it becomes inside out. But he never did that out. He never did that in the open. He always did it under his sheets. I never violated the words of my friend. He gives an example, extreme example. He says, and I know I'm not a kohen, but if my friends would tell me, go up in duchen, I would go up. So he would always follow whatever his friends told him. I don't know why that's such a good thing. I guess because he gave respect to his friends. Now it says, I never said anything that I had to take back. Rabbi Yossi was of the opinion that Lashon Hara only applies to things that if the person was there listening, you wouldn't say it. If whatever you spoke about someone, if you weren't going to say it, if you couldn't say it to his face, then you couldn't tell it to someone else. And if you could say it to his face, then you are allowed to tell it to someone else. So if he would say something about someone, and then the person would come to him and say, "Do you say that?" He said, "Yeah." He didn't have to say, "No, I never said that," because he held that if I can say it to him, I can say it to someone else. I don't know if that's the halacha, but that was Rabbi Yossi's opinion. Rab Nachman. Should we go further? Yeah. Let's see. But the following Gemara are students of Rav that are saying that they have the qualities of Rav had 10 qualities, fine qualities. And after students each took one of them. So it says, Rav Nachman, Teiseli, the reward is coming to me the kaimis gimel sudas b'Shabbos, because I was careful. I always had 3 meals on Shabbos. Amar Rav Yehuda, Rav Yehuda says, Teisili, the reward is coming to me. The kaimis iyun tefillah, because I was careful to concentrate by davening. And again, this is like Rav was. There's this Tosfos here, the Tosfos in Brachos as well, that discusses that concentrating by davening does not include that because of your concentration, you're expecting Hashem to answer you. It does not include that. You're not supposed to do that. Amar Rav Huna Breder Rav Yeshua. Teisili, Rav Huna Breder Rav Yeshua says, this is much later. Can't be a student of Rav. Teisili, it's coming to me, the reward. I didn't walk 4 kibbutz without my head covered. Amar Rav Sheshes, Teisili the kaimis mitzvahs tefillin. It says the reward is coming to me because I kept the mitzvah of tefillin, which means also he always wore tefillin. He didn't walk 4 amos without tefillin. Amar Rav Nachman, Teisili the kaimis mitzvahs tzitzis. I was very careful with tzitzis. Amar Lei Rabbi Yosef, the Rabbi Yosef prayed the Rabbah. Rabbi Yosef says to Rabbi Yosef, the son of Rabbi, Avuch b'mayzar tvei. What was your father careful about? Amar Lei b'tzitzis. He says Rabbi was careful with tzitzis. Yom echad have kasolik bedarga. One time he was going up steps, and he says over here it's Rava. It's supposed to be the Gersa, supposed to be Rava. Rabbi Yosef was a friend of Rabbi. Something's funny about that. Ifseklei chuta, the string broke. Let's see what happened here. The string broke, and v'leinachas v'asakamad leiramya, and he wouldn't go down kamad leiram until he put on a new string. He wouldn't move. Abaya Teisili, Abaya says that it's coming to me. Abaya says when I would see a yeshiva bacher that finished the Masechta, I would make a feast for the whole yeshiva. We'd make a siyum. So that's something that he wants to be rewarded for. Or that's why he's going to get rewarded. Amar Rava says, Teisili, the Chiyasa Tzov Merabanan Lakamayd Ledina. If a young Torah scholar would come before me in judgment, Le Mazegna Reshe Abesadia Kamadla Ma Pechna Beschusei. This is very difficult. I would not lay down, which means I wouldn't put my head on, we had Besadia earlier, a pillow, on my pillow, until I was able to find a merit for his claim. Amar Rav Ashi, I don't know we need a commentary to explain that. Amar Rav Ashi, Pasilma le'letzurva merabanan ledina. Amar Rav Ashi says that I'm disqualified from judging a yeshiva student. My timer. Why not? Why? The chaviva lekegufay. Because they're beloved to me as myself. A person doesn't find the fault in himself, so I can't judge them. Okay, let's